Good evening and welcome to episode 3, where we will process a color image using the raw editor in preparation to transfer to Photoshop for conversion to black and white. And then we're going to introduce some dodge and burn. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to load the file into Photoshop, the Photoshop raw editor. So if we double click on this file, and we've now got a raw file on the screen. The first thing that we're going to do with this file is that we're going to process it in line with what we have already learned over the last couple of months of Photoshop tutorials. So we're going to apply a auto fix by clicking on the auto button. And this, the computer will have given us its impression of the corrections necessary to improve this image exposure. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our basic tab, and we're going to have a look at the white balance. And I know that the clouds have got a bit of grey in them, so I'm just going to use the cloud to apply a fix. And you see it got a little warmer in the clouds. We move down through the choices of change, and we know that we've got to fix the optics because our lenses are curved and we need to compensate for that. So if we click the optics, click on the profile corrections and look at the lens profiles. I know I use the Fuji, so I'm just going to select Fuji, and you'll see a little change happen here. So that's been corrected. We're going to move on to the next correction. Next correction is to straighten the image. And if we pick up the geometry tab and use A for auto, and we're using all the auto stuff, just like we did in previous videos. And at the end of the day, that's now been automatically straightened. This is where we're going to employ some new tools. And we're going to apply the graduated filter. Now, we've heard of graduated filters that we put on the end of our lens. And this is the digital equivalent. What I need to do to prepare this for black and white is I need to give the sky a little bit of body. And I need to brighten up the foreground a bit. And what this will do is it will save a lot of work in Photoshop. Remember, we want to minimize the amount of work that we have to do by allowing the computer to assist us as much as possible. By using these skills, we will achieve that. So what we're going to do first of all is we're going to apply the grad. So if we click on the grad, we've got up some controls, which we're going to make some changes. But we've got to identify where we want those changes to occur. And if I press the Shift key, keep pressing the Shift key, and use my mouse roughly around about the middle of the photograph, and I draw down to the horizon line. Still holding my Shift key, let the mouse go. The reason for holding the Shift key is you get a nice level balance of the grad, just as if it were on the end of your lens. What we see here now is where we don't want the change to occur is across the bridge. So what we want to do is we want to use the eraser tool to erase this effect. So I'm going to use the eraser tool, and the values of size, filler, and flow are recommended to be around about these values. You can experiment with them, but these are nominally correct. And what I want to do now is I just want to brush out the effect along the bridge. Now this is going to save us a heck of a lot of time. had we make these changes later on in Photoshop. So let's get them done now. Now for the font, what we want to do is we want to effectively increase the shadow detail at the top, which we're going to reduce the shadow detail. And you'll see they got a little bit darker. And I'm going to drop the exposure just to put a wee bit of punch into the top of that cloud. Okay? Not a whole lot. So we're taking it down by just roughly 3/4 of a stop. And we're taking around about 0.15 off the shadows. Very subtly, just to bring out the detail. We're finished. If we go along then to click on that button, will allow that to be cemented. Now, whenever we turn this picture to black and white, you'll actually see the reason for doing this. What we want to do is brighten highlights. And we're going to dial in around about 50 of a brightness level here. So first of all, we're going to get our grad. And we now know they're the first grad. And if we press the Shift key again, we want to draw it up at the bottom of the screen, hold the Shift key, let the mouse go first, and we're going to dial in. We're going to increase our shadows by 50. And when we do this, and we press this button to see the effect, you will see that we've brightened the picture up. Right, so everything's okay there. For the next part of the development is to open the picture in Photoshop. So if we just click open, the picture will be opened in Photoshop.